Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at two new features on Google's Bard AI. So these are two recently released features. The first is that it can now work with YouTube videos. So you can give it a link and you can ask it to do things like summarize, and it will be able to do a summarization of a particular YouTube video. The second is that they have expanded the maths and graphing capabilities of Bard. In this video, I will do some quick trials to demonstrate each of these new capabilities and try and get a gauge of how good they are. So I started with the summarization of a YouTube video. I chose one of my own, and we can see here it has done a summarization. It's correctly identified the speaker. It talks about what I'm looking at. Got a little bit confused here where I certainly mentioned word cloud and tidyverse. Tidyverse is a little bit incidental though. This video is very much about word cloud too. Other than that though, it describes how I extract text from a transcript of the Friends TV show. I did use tidyverse. Does miss a little bit of the text processing, so it's a little on the vague side. It's missed a couple of details, but certainly this is not a terrible description. It's not that far off. It did identify the things that I did do. It really just maybe had the emphasis not quite 100%, but pretty good. I'm going to experiment a little bit more, but I wanted to just try this thing, get the video up about it as soon as I could. So that is the YouTube. All I needed to do was just say summarize and then put in the YouTube. You can probably try some other verbs, get it to try and do some other things as well. Summarization though seems like it would be a very common, useful application of this. Next up, testing some of the maths. So starting just with getting it to plot a simple equation. It successfully plotted that equation. It also gave me the Python code as well to be able to recreate. I haven't tested this code, but running through, yeah, certainly looks like that is all correct. So that's pretty handy if you are needing to plot particular things where you've got the Python code there. I didn't experiment and ask for other languages. By default, Python seems to be what it will head to, which is fine. It's one of the more common and useful languages. Next up, I tested it on a normal distribution question. So this was something that would come up at a later level statistics class in high school or first year class in university. And I've tried ChatGPT on this, and it did okay in terms of identifying the steps. But the actual mathematical calculations, because it is a large language model, it tended to fumble a little bit on those. So with this particular problem, this is a very simple one. I just grabbed it out of a Google search. And what we're trying to do, we've got a bell curve, we've got 90 in the middle. We want to know the probability of being greater than 100. It's something that if you've done a reasonable chunk of stats, you would have already known that the answer's around about that kind of 15.8% or 0.158. And so it starts off, well, calculates the z-score, 100 minus 90 over the standard deviation gives us 1. That's correct. Find the area to the right of 1. Well, that's what we want to do, because the area to the right of 1 on that with that z-score is going to be the same as the area to the right of 100 kilometers per hour, so more than 100 kilometers. Looks up on the z-table, gives us the correct figure. It should have stopped there. Unfortunately, it didn't. This is actually very reminiscent of when I was teaching statistics. I would have students that would do this sometimes. They would get to the right answer. They would think, oh, that's too easy. I'd better do some more stuff. And then it proceeded to add some more stuff that was not correct. So whilst we wanted to know the probability of being greater than 100, what it did by doing the second bit, taking the other side of the curve, is it also added in the probability of being less than 80, so less than one standard deviation below the mean. And that is not what got asked for. Certainly there is other times solving other problems of this style where that is something you need to do, but a little bit disappointing there. It's on the right track, but not perfect. It did get the calculations right though. So ChatGPT got the right steps, couldn't get the numbers quite right. This does seem to be a little bit better with the numbers, but maybe struggles a little bit more with the steps. Certainly with this kind of thing, I think it does depend very much what you're asking it. The other thing that they have said that it can do is if you provide an image, then it can actually extract the mathematical problem from the image. So here, this is just a JPEG. It's got an equation inside it. Nice big clear letters, so it should be fairly easy in terms of the image recognition to be able to extract the equation from there. Simultaneous equations, so we've got an x and a y that we're trying to find, and it works its way through. It gives us explanations step by step of doing the solving. Admittedly, this is a fairly simple one to solve by elimination. We add the two together, the 5 y's cancel out. So did give it a slightly simple one, I guess, but it does work through step by step, explaining what it did, ending up with x equals 2, y equals 3, which is the correct answer. So overall, I think we will probably be giving Bard maybe a B, maybe a B+. I think probably need to do a little bit more testing to really establish quite how frequent these little bugs with these little errors occur. But on the whole, I think the being able to access YouTube is really handy. It's nice where that is just part of Google's products. And I think the maths is useful and a good start, but I think probably needs a little bit more refinement before you can trust it to be doing things if you don't already have a good intuition of what you're expecting to get out the other side. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back soon with more videos on AI, stats, research, and random stuff.